Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to our Wednesday webinar. And today we are doing the second episode in our series, Our Team's Top Tips. And today we're going to be focusing on our favorite restaurants. So obviously there are loads of different properties in the Maldives, like over 200, and so many different restaurants across all of them. But the ones we'll be talking about today are just kind of the ones that our team has particularly loved for a certain reason, and the ones that kind of really stand out for us. So we'll just be chatting about 4 specific restaurants today, and then there'll be some special mentions at the end. But of course, as always, if you do have any questions on any resorts in the Maldives for their various different restaurants, there's so many amazing ones, so it is very hard to kind of pin them down to just a certain selection. And we obviously have been to all the resorts and know all the restaurants really well. So even outside of these particular ones that we'll mention today, we have lots of knowledge on loads of others. So I'm going to first chat about, also to mention, we've got some of the reservations team members joining us today, as you'll be able to see. So we've got Dean, who's joining us from Vancouver. We've got Javi, who's joining us from Buenos Aires. Marina, who's in Malaga in Spain. And then right next to me here in the office is Laura, who's sort of works in between our Bulgaria office and London office as well. So before we go into the individual team members and their favorite restaurants, I just wanted to have a quick chat about general Maldives cuisine. So obviously with all the different properties in the Maldives, all of them have different restaurants. So there's probably 1,000 restaurants spread across all the resorts. And basically you'll be able to find every different type of cuisine. So Japanese, Italian, Indian, Middle Eastern, South American, Thai. Basically all the main ones will be covered at many of the different properties. And also loads of them cater for vegans and vegetarians, and we've got a big list of that as well separately to this. So anything that your clients specifically need, even if it's special kind of halal or any kind of special dietary requirements, pretty much all the properties will be able to cater to that. So you can get in touch with us and we'll be able to give you a bit of more in-depth information on some options. And then, yeah, with kind of local cuisine in the Maldives, probably one of the most famous dishes that people will have heard of is masuni, which is a typical Maldivian breakfast. Obviously being like a sea destination, most of their dishes are revolved around seafood, and tuna is a very, very big obviously breed of fish in the Maldives, so quite a lot of their dishes do include tuna. So masuni is a typical breakfast of tuna, onion and coconut served with roti, and then they have some typical fresh fish soups served with fresh tuna and rice, and obviously the famous fish curry, which you can kind of find everywhere. So really sort of delicious light dishes with kind of a seafood influence. And in terms of probably the most famous property and restaurant in the Maldives that really champions Maldivian cuisine would be Batheli at Maldives. So it is a Maldivian with a small Sri Lankan kind of influence as well restaurant in the Maldives, and it's really, really beautiful, and they've got a lobster curry which is amazing. So that's a restaurant that's probably quite famous for being kind of just focused towards Maldivian food. So now we'll move into our different reservations team members. So we've got, sorry, I'm just going to go next. Oh, back. We've got Dean. So Dean is our reservations manager of the Americas, who's joining us from Vancouver. And yeah, I'll hand over to you now, Dean, to give your little rundown on you.
Thank you, Olivia. So like Olivia said, I'm Dean. So I've worked for Hummingbird over 3 years now. I've actually been lucky enough to visit around 50 of the destinations that we sell. You will probably already know about the launch of the Caribbean. So now we're covering Indian Ocean as well as the Caribbean. So we have all of those destinations to help you with. We have a lot of experience across the whole reservations team. So really with everybody, there's always somebody who's been to these places. And if you have a client who and you need to chat to about any specifics on each island, then we are always here to help. We'll always have first-hand experience of the destination and the hotels. So just let us know. Now, in terms of the Maldives and restaurants, there's so many amazing restaurants that Olivia just explained. There's Maldivian style ones, there's international style ones, and the hotels all compete with each other in order to bring the best chefs from around the world. So you're always going to find that the meals that you have there are some of the best that you're going to experience, as well paired with the setting that it is. It makes it for such an enjoyable trip. With the Maldives, you have specialist restaurants like underwater restaurants, for example. One of my favorite restaurants that I've ever been to was at Saniva Jani. So some of you watching the webinar might have had the chance to stay in the hotel. You will. It's really a once in a lifetime experience. It's at Saniva Fushi. It's once in a lifetime experience. The Saniva Fushi is like a big round island, very tropical, very rustic. It's kind of like Robinson Crusoe style in the most luxury way. Now, in the center of the island, you have the Flying Saucers restaurant. Now, in order to get to the Flying Saucers restaurant, you have to take a series of zip lines to get there. So it's a fantastic way to experience some gastronomy in the Maldives, some of the finest dining, and really it's something for everybody. They actually brought in a chef from Belgium to set the experience up, like a Michelin-starred chef. And what I really like about it is it's actually like a group affair. So when you go to the restaurant, it's one large table, and a 6-course dining menu. And it gives the chance for everybody to chat to other people in the resort, which for the Maldives, actually, you just don't really have that. Sometimes in the Maldives, guests can stay in their own little bubble, in their own private villa, and it's not very often that you actually get to interact with other guests that are staying on the island. And so for me, Flying Saucers was really a chance to chat to guests who are staying at the resort from all different parts of the world. You might have families, you might have couples, you might have some solo travelers, and just to have that conversation over dinner paired with this fine dining, for me, it was one of like the best experiences that I've had in the Maldives in terms of meals.
Amazing, thanks, Dean. Yeah, I also actually was there a couple months ago and did the zip lining. It's actually the longest zip line, I think, in the Maldives, or maybe actually now Saniva Jani has the longest. But there's like 3 or 4 different zip lines out there that you can do throughout before you actually get to the restaurant. So even that in itself is an amazing experience. And then getting to the restaurant is just amazing. And then obviously the restaurant itself being in the trees, I think that's also quite unique because a lot of places are kind of on the beach in the Maldives, but the jungle at Saniva Fushi is so beautiful and so high and dense that it really feels like you're in another place. So yeah,
it's one of these things as well where the families will book it for the children or the teenagers because it's got the zip line, but actually when you're experiencing it, it's actually all of the adults that are having the most fun doing it. So it's really actually quite fun to see. So it's definitely a great experience for people to do as a once in a lifetime. And actually, I think they start the setting at around it's like a set timing for the setting. I think it's like early evening, maybe around 7 o'clock. Like if you get a nice night in the sky, you can see all the stars above you. You're in the middle of the forest. Like really, there's nowhere like it. I think it's a very special resort.
Yeah, definitely. Very special and one of our favorites. So yeah, thank you so much, Dean. So we're now going to go to Laura, who is actually sitting right next to me in the office, and she's our reservations manager, based sometimes in BG, but then in Bulgaria, but also based in London. So yeah, you can chat a bit about yourself.
Thanks, Liv, and hi everyone. So just a bit of information for me. I've been working with Hummingbird for almost 3 years. I've visited almost 30 different resorts across the destinations that we sell, including the Caribbean as well. And some of my, let's say, top 3 resorts would be Vacaru in Maldives, Four Seasons de Roche in Seychelles, and another one which I have put on my bucket list is Jade Mountain, which is in St. Lucia. The last place I was in Antigua. And yeah, just shortly about me, I am dealing with the CE market mostly. So some of you may know me, some of you may not know me that much. I do tend to work in our Sofia office as well. I try to spend equal amounts of time both in London and in Sofia, where I'm actually from. So I'm getting the best of both worlds. Now, in terms of dining in the Maldives and restaurants in general, as Dean and Olivia already said, with having so many options to choose from, it can actually be quite difficult because all of the restaurants in every resort are quite unique, and they do tend to compete with each other to be able to provide the best and most memorable experience for their clients. But for me personally, my favorite one was Lonu at Olsen Life Mardu. Compared to Flying Saucers, is actually a very small, intimate and private restaurant. It's closely located to their spa, and the restaurant itself is very small. You just sit on a bar and there would be maybe space for 3 more couples to be seated next to you. However, the dining menu which they had was absolutely incredible. It was a 7-course or 8-course tasting menu, and the food was a combination between fusion and traditional Maldivian cuisine. So it was absolutely incredible. Fresh seafood, ceviche style, tuna, and it's closer to the beach. So whilst you're dining and enjoying the food, you can hear the waves crashing, and it's just absolutely beautiful setting, especially if you're looking for something a bit more intimate rather than, you know, staying in a big restaurant but having loads of people next to you. Usually it's open for lunch. So again, a very nice way to enjoy your lunch and then your afternoon, having a little stroll on the beach. That was probably one of the best restaurants I've had, and like the food there was absolutely incredible for me. So definitely recommend, if you have people who are looking for a bit more intimate kind of setting, I would definitely recommend that one.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Laura. And next we have Javi, who is joining us today from Buenos Aires in Argentina, where he's based most of the time. So Javi, would you like to chat a bit about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Hello, everyone. Like Olivia said, I'm Javier. I've been in the travel business for over 17 years, but I joined Hummingbird during the pandemic back in December 2020. I'm not gonna reveal my real age, so I'm gonna leave that sense of mystery in there. Yes, the Indian Ocean, I think, is my favorite region in the world. There's a hotel for everyone there. It gives you that real sense of paradise. I mean, nothing I tell you will do any justice. You need to experience it yourself. And today we are talking about our favorite restaurants. Like Laura and Dean said, it's really difficult to pinpoint, to identify one favorite. But when I think of dining in the Maldives, I think the first restaurant that comes across is So Raw in Sonivajani. Pardon, sorry, So Wild in Sonivajani. And Soniva Fuji has a very similar one called So Raw. That's why I got it wrong. So yeah, so the restaurant itself is absolutely breathtaking. It's in the garden, in the organic garden of the resort. It's only open for dinner on certain days of the week, and it's all illuminated by candles. So it gives you that intimate setting and, you know, that romantic experience. I am from Argentina originally, and I love my meat. And this restaurant is a vegan one, so I didn't know what to expect. And I think that's why I really enjoyed it, because well, I'd never been to a vegan restaurant before, and now I've been to, I would say, 25, because I loved my experience in Sonivajani. It basically consists of 12 different courses. and well, the chef had done a great job in choosing or in putting together that menu, because it basically leaves you wanting for more. Well, the resort itself is absolutely breathtaking. It's the quintessential, Maldivian resort. When you think of the Maldives, you think of these beautiful water villas, and this hotel is a great representative of that. Definitely recommend it as a once in a lifetime experience. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Javi. Yeah, it definitely does feel like you're in on another planet when you're at Srivijaya. Just the scale of how big the villas are. And obviously most of them, all of them now have the water slides. So it kind of has become that very famous, I don't want to say Instagram, because I feel like that makes it sound like it doesn't have great quality sometimes, but it is that kind of quintessential Instagrammable property, but also has so much substance and elegance, and you can see why it's become such a famous property, just because it's just so outstanding. And yeah, the Srivijayas in general, I found just this level of quality of the food and kind of how innovative they are, and how the chefs just come up with so many amazing things. It really kind of is almost in a league of its own with how inventive they are. So yeah, another amazing one in the Maldives. So next we've got Marina, who's calling in from Spain. And yeah, I'll let you chat a bit about yourself now, Marina.
Hey everyone, thank you, Olivia. Well, I'm calling from Spain, as Olivia mentioned. My name is Marina, and I've been with the company already for 3 years almost, but in tourism business around 10 years. So also, as Javi mentioned, probably Indian Ocean is the best place, and the destination that you go once and you have this mindset thinking about, yeah, it's a destination for honeymooners, so most likely you go once in a lifetime, but then once you go there for the first time, you just have to come back, like you're becoming obsessed. Either it's Maldives, Seychelles, or Mauritius, like you're literally waiting for another journey. So yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the world. And everyone was actually mentioning their restaurants, and somehow it turned out to be everything in the Maldives. But mine that I choose, it's actually in Mauritius. I will tell you about it. Why did I choose it? Because also, like, we work with Mauritius in, it's completely different style. I would say that Maldives, it's more, I would say, like a brother destination to Seychelles. If you're searching for an alternative for Seychelles, you should definitely go and see some properties in Mauritius, because we have a lot, and in one journey we visited over 30, and I was just amazed about the variety of how different the properties could be like, and how different you can experience the same destination. For example, I mentioned in the information that my favorite hotels are like Shangri-La, Le Rock. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this nice, all right, because I don't speak really French. But yeah, it's a super luxury, great property for both adults and couples, because they have 2 different sections. But at the same time, I've mentioned La Caixa Marel, which is a completely different concept of the property. It's a small 20 rooms boutique property in the forest, on the hills, with the stunning views, and like with no beach. And that's the experiences that you cannot like compare, and it's in the same destination on the same island, so you should definitely visit it. And I mentioned that the famous the restaurant. My famous restaurant is Tapasake, and One and Only. Everyone knows One and Only, of course, and in the Mauritius, even though we work with both, of course, in Mauritius and in Maldives. But like I mentioned, the Tapasake, because it has a mix of 2 of my favorite cuisines, which is basically like exciting Japanese specialities, and then with a Spanish twist. That could not be, like, nothing can be even better. Like, they do the tapas style, serving like pan-Asian food. I'm just in love with pan-Asian food, and just in general, like probably in like in Mauritius, it was the best sushi and sashimi you could try, and also you can have some grill, which is absolutely like delicious. And at the same time, the restaurant is on the over water, which is amazing, panoramic ocean views, and yeah, it's just a classy luxury experience of very delicious food. But if we need to choose one in the Maldives, I would probably go for the restaurant in my favorite Maldives hotel, which is Joali, and the restaurant is Saoke, which is also Japanese restaurant, and as long as I remember, it is designed by Nariyoshi Muramatsu, a Japanese designer who also designed Suma in London, Dubai, and in Hong Kong. It's absolutely like gorgeous and also over water, and it has the biggest sake collection. I'm not a big fan of sake, but I should admit that if you have guests who's a big fan of sake, sashimi, sushi, and just a very high-end, lovely place to dine in, Joali Saoke also is one of the best restaurants, I would say, well, for me at least, as a Japanese food lover. So basically that's it. If any questions, you can always email us, call, or anything. We can advise you not only on hotels, but also on some delicious food all over the destinations we are working with.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Marina. I'm so impressed that you remembered the name of the designer, which is amazing, and pronounced it very well. So that's, yeah, so cool. And yeah, I also have been to Tapasaki and I really loved it. Really amazing restaurant, and one and only is amazing property. We do obviously focus a lot on the Maldives because we are, you know, such experts there, but then we also are experts in Mauritius, Seychelles, Sri Lanka, now the Caribbean as well. So yeah, there are just so many amazing properties out there in the Indian Ocean and in the Caribbean. So, but moving back to the Maldives just briefly, I wanted to add in some special mentions because you know, you definitely can't put them all into one slideshow. There's obviously loads of other ones apart from this, but these are ones that we always do talk about, and so many members of our team absolutely love. So as mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, Batheli at Maldives, which is the Maldivian cuisine restaurant, is a real favorite. Anantaraki Harbor Sea, which is their underwater restaurant. So this is the bottom photo on the slide I'm showing now is sea, and has an amazing reef that goes all around it, and just incredible for seeing marine life and incredible dining options as well. Pullman, the Fat Chameleon, is one that I really wanted to put in there just because similar to how Javi had such a good experience at the Sniva Jani property, I also had the same thing at Fat Chameleon. Really amazing vegetarian and vegan food, also kind of set in the jungle at Pullman. And then you've got Barros, the lighthouse. It's really hard to not mention, and I reckon almost purely because of their lobster bisque, which is a really, really famous dish that they serve there. So this is in the top photo on the slide. They basically kind of make it almost in front of you and then yeah, sort of prepare it for you on the table, and it is just unbelievable. Kudavillingili's Maumi, we had some colleagues go there recently and they said that their Peruvian Japanese restaurant Maumi was unbelievable as well. The Nautilus is one that our CEO Tom wanted me to add in as well. So Ocaso, the Japanese, Mexican and Peruvian fusion restaurant there is so good. I've also actually been there and I really loved it as well. Vakaru's Onu, which is Southeast Asian cuisine, really delicious, and Vakaru is like a real hummingbird favorite property, with some other amazing dining options. And then the Conrad's Itha, which is their also their underwater restaurant. So yeah, there's actually quite a few different underwater restaurants in the Maldives, and yeah, they all kind of stand out for their different reasons. So yeah, there's no questions yet, but if you did think of anything then definitely feel free to write in the question box, or if you think of something afterwards, then reach out to us. Our reservations team are always available, and they're the real experts on all the destinations that we sell, and we're constantly putting a lot of time and effort into sending everybody everywhere in our destinations, so that we can make sure we've got so much knowledge, product knowledge behind everybody to be able to give you the most amount of advice possible. And if you need any marketing equipment, please reach out to our marketing department, and I can send you over collateral or any kind of images that you need to help market whatever you need basically for your bookings. But yeah, so it looks like we don't have any questions, but thank you so much everyone for joining us, and thank you so much to the team for calling in from around the world. We are so lucky that we've got such a global team everywhere, kind of covering all different time zones, but then we're in such regular contact with each other. So yeah, we're very lucky for that, which is good. So yeah, thanks again everybody for joining us, and hope to see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.